do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you have? And then one of the questions from the workbook was, can you allow yourself to have be do this? Are you giving yourself permission to have be do this? And the beautiful thing about children, especially children who are being raised in the science of mind, new thought, like oneness, abundance, limitless, infinite possibility mindset, is that they're like, nothing is stopping me. I can't do, be, have anything.
Welcome to Healing Conversations podcast.
Podcast.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Healing Conversations podcast.
Okay.
You already know this is our
Yes.
space where we come together and talk all things healing, expansion, and growth, and we share real life things that we're moving through. And individually, as we heal collectively, we send that energetic signal out, and it affects the others by being the example of what change and healing looks like.
Yes. And of course, whatever platform you are listening to this on, we would love to get your input, hear what's coming through for you, know how this is resonating with you. Raymel and I are enthusiasts. We are not experts. We are simply people on this journey and dedicated to our personal growth and practices and have seen the results that come from that. And um, a lot of times that growth comes from some challenging questions and some personal investigation that can be a little tough and uncomfortable, but that's what this space is for. So if there is something that's coming through for you, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you're getting this. Make sure you connect with us because this is a dialogue. We are in this together.
Yes. All right, so let's get into our conversation today, which I feel like this is going to be juicy and it's going to spark up some inner questions and curiosity of exploring. And today we're going to talk about what is stopping you. And what inspired this conversation is Sister Angelique and I, we catch up before we press record and we just talk, see where each other is in the moment. I love that we do that and we're not like digging up like how was last week or how was the week before, but how are you
What's
feeling
something you
today?
learned this year?
Today. And in that we're able to just really feel into what came up for us. And what really came through is we realized that we're kind of in alignment in the area of just movement, of clarity, of awareness. So today I want to talk about what's stopping you. And my perception of what I say, or when I say what's stopping you, is often you know that there's things that we want to do in life, things that we want to pursue, things that we want to have. And a lot of times it's easy to get caught into the feeling like you don't have the accessibility to it, or feeling like it's not a possibility for it, or feeling like it's not meant for you. And other people, it's only meant for. And I know for me, along this journey, that's been the lens in which I've seen life is it's meant for everyone else and not for me. And I want to say like a year or two ago, I had this awareness that I've been in this theme and question of why not me?
Mm.
Why not me? Why do others get to have? Why do others get to do? Why do others get to be, but why not me? And I didn't realize that that was kind of the theme that I was playing and living by until I just had this like moment of stillness. I was in the space of really moving through some things. And as I was still, I noticed that that voice and that question kept coming up, why not me? And I'm like, what do you mean, why not me? And I was able to really sit with that was my younger self who always, because I grew up from lack. I grew up feeling like I was abandoned. I grew up feeling neglected and rejected. So when I was in those experiences, I would see others and I would have this perception that they just had it all. Whether they had the money, they had the love, they had the nice things, they had it all. But why not me? Why couldn't I? Why do I have to get hand-me-downs? Why do I not have, we don't have money to pay for things or get things or do things? So as a child, that's what I adopted and started to believe that was true. So as an adult, it would unconsciously come up for me. So of course, when it came for me pursuing things or wanting things or even having a desire for things, I would think unconsciously, well, that can't happen because why not me? Things like that don't happen for people like me. And I've been having to move through that because that awareness, it shines a light on on what's stopping me from taking action at times. Because when you don't have and when you're not used to being the one who has the access to things, when things do come, for me, there's been this fear of can I handle it? Can I hold it?
Mm,
Will I be able to step up and take on the responsibility of it? Because things like that don't happen for people like me. So if someone like me has it, will I be something that I will be able to really, I don't know why I want to say conquer, but just really hold? So what's stopping you? A lot of times we don't know because we're seeing the external thing, maybe the job, maybe the relationship, maybe the friendship, maybe the thing. But for me, the biggest aha when I realized it's me.
mhm,
I'm stopping me. It was never anyone. It was never anything. I just created those reasons to not face who was the biggest block, and it was me. And it's not judging it. It's just the awareness of, okay, now that I know it's me, it gives me power, knowing that I have the ability to change and change the trajectory of just this story of this thing called life. I'll end it there.
mm. Yes. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate hearing your story because I've only known like the Raymel that has chosen to continue to choose himself over and over again. And what I really appreciate is that you said even just a few years ago, you were like, all of these other things are happening for people, but why not me? So that is just a beautiful example for everyone that even as we're on this journey, we have to maintain that sense of self-awareness of our mindset around what we can and cannot do, have, be, accomplish, right? It's actually interesting that we're having this conversation because I work with the children's ministry at Agape, and we have been talking about abundance. And I had them go through this activity um, that was like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you have? And then one of the questions from the workbook was, can you allow yourself to have be do this? Are you giving yourself permission to have be do this? And the beautiful thing about children, especially children who are being raised in the science of mind, new thought, like oneness, abundance, limitless, infinite possibility mindset, is that they're like, nothing is stopping me. I can't do, be, have anything. Yes, I give myself permission. Like it was like kind of like, what do you mean? Why are you even asking me
Hmm.
this question? And I want to
Hmm.
invite us to all take that childlike enthusiasm and belief on because we all had that at some point. And then at some point along our line, it might have been in our childhood, Like Raymel was saying, usually it is, when we start to morph our belief and our optimism about what we can be, do, have, and we start to become realistic. We start to
Mm.
be more practical, doing the real job, and I got responsibilities, and I'm an adult, right? And we start to put these limits and these blocks on ourselves. Um, and we don't realize that everything that we see someone else doing, we can do that. You don't have to look out and say, why not me? Like that person over there, people talk about the billionaires and oligarchs and all of that type of stuff. And they're like, why are they like that? Why can't I have, my life together? I don't even want to be a billionaire, but why not me? Why can't I be financially abundant? But I really would say, like, just shift the energy around that question and be like,
Mm-hmm.
why not me? Who says I can't? Why not me? Instead of, why not me? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
not me? Right? It really is just a mindset and a tonality, just the same words. It's really just the energy we put behind it. And I love that that came up for me because that's how everything is in life. Whatever your bills are, whatever your relationship is, whatever your job is, whatever, your health body condition is, if you say it this way, when we look at it from a lens of possibility, when we look at it from a lens of, I have the self authority and agency to create a shift in my life, regardless of the area in my life, I get to change that. I see, okay, now I'm not feeling physically strong in my body. Okay, I see them over there being physically strong with their body. Okay, maybe I can, eat more green things. Maybe I can do a couple of push-ups. This is my life experience. I can take control of it because this is literally the only thing I can control. Everything outside of me, I can't tell that person to go stop being fit. I can't tell these people to stop being rich. I can't tell these people to stop being in love. That's silly. That's silly. But it really does take speaking about it out loud and being in community and practicing and shifting our mindset to understand that we're even having those kinds of thoughts and perceptions about the world. And so I really would like to say that when I brought up this topic to Raymel, it was because I found this podcast with Mel Robbins, and she was having a conversation with this death doula who I can't remember the name of, but she's a beautiful Black woman. And she was just lovely, wrote this incredible book. And she was explaining how our life is precious, how we are going to, at some point, cease to be in our physical bodies. And while we are here, what is it that we want to do? Are you doing what you want to do? Or are you spending time doing something that other people expect you to do? Are you doing something with your life that you think would make other people more likely to um, give you money or communicate with you or to love you or to see you or to think you're some sort of way? Or are you actually doing something that satisfies your soul so that when you're on your deathbed, regardless if it's that's at home and you're surrounded by loved ones, or you're in hospice, or you're in a hospital, or you got into an accident, you're lying on the side of the street, right? Like when you are in this space of, my life is transitioning out of the physical form, will you think to yourself, I lived a good life. I did what I wanted to do. I played full out. And regardless of these circumstances right now, I know that I did good. And that's really why we're asking, like, what's stopping you? Because
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that really stops us is ourselves, and then that transition out of the body. Everything else is just made up. And I'll let that sit right there.
Mm, what a powerful way to land that plane. Because that really is what ignited me sharing that why me story. Because this window of time that we do have in this physical form, there is so much that can be done. And I run across a lot of people who are in the field of settle,
Mm,
and then they have sections of complaint that they go and sit in and hang out with each other. And when I challenge a lot of people, because it's once you have the awareness, and I jokingly say that, like, when I first got into the self-development healing realm, that I was like the Jehovah's Witness of self-development. No disrespect to any Jehovah's Witnesses, if there's any, but I would feel like I was trying to force people to see things a certain way and be a certain way and do things a certain way. That I'm like, I had this awakening, like that's not what you are meant to do. Be the example. Don't share it. Share it through your acts of service and ways of being, but don't share from a place of force.
mm,
And whenever I'm in exchange with people, I just listen. A lot of times I've shared in the other podcasts, like I like to listen. I like to hear people. I like to just really learn, but also I listen a lot because I know that when you talk to someone who isn't open, what you're sharing will be rejected. And if someone and people unfortunately will fight for their limitations before they fight for a dream. So if someone
mm,
is challenging a limitation with a possibility, we often are more attached to the limitation that we will give you every reason and get mad because you're not understanding the reason why I'm trying to tell you I can't have what I want or do what I want or be who I want. And I just allow people to be where they are, but I do have the awareness that a lot of people, they just settle and they get comfortable. And when you really unpack that, it comes from this generational belief that we have, this mindset that we have that this is just what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. And in the world that we live in, depending on the region in which you stay, but I know in the US, the United States, they have this idea that you work a certain amount of time and then at this age you retire and then you just that's when you're able to live and just be free in your life, and a lot of people are working towards that. That's what they feel like is the road that they're meant to take and the path that they're meant to be on. So a lot of people are just like, this is what life is.
mm,
And no disregard or disrespect if that's what someone wants to create for themselves. But having the awareness that I have, I will always reflect to someone the possibility that's within them. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to see it because they're so used to seeing what isn't. And
mm,
there's so much that we can do. There's so much that we can be, but what's stopping you? What's stopping you? The first thing, like I said, for me, I knew it was me. But now there's other things that as you start to explore that question, it starts to reveal itself. And a lot of times we know it. We know blatantly the main things that's stopping us that's on the physical realm, whether it's in habit,
mm.
whether it's lack of movement, lack of action, whatever thing, like we know. But then a lot of times that's where we get stuck because what we don't know, it's so much more under the water that we need
Mm,
to explore because that's what's really stopping us. The lack of healing, the lack of feeling, the lack of allowing it to let be released and let go. So we're able to hold new things, invite new things in because it all starts from within. I'll say that throughout this season and just podcast because once we have that awareness, we're able to see that the change, like I said, I hold the power because it's within me. What thoughts am I
mm,
thinking? How am I feeling about life? How am I feeling about myself? How am I feeling about situations creates what the perception of it will be for me. And everyone has their own unique perception, so no one's going to have the same way It's just, are we able to make a way for you want to go left and I want to go right? And that's okay. But you're going to a destination. If we're meant to cross paths or we're meant to align, then it will be what it's meant to be. I'll end it there.
Mm, I really love that. Um, because we can get so caught up in being attached to other people and really not living our lives for us. Um, and just really not be aware of that. And this is like a whole other podcast conversation, but that's one of the reasons, one of the energies I feel within myself that brings up hesitation around being in a relationship,
Mm,
you know, because the idea that I have of relationship now is a lot different than what I had in my early 20s and in high school, you know, and what I see as a child because I was raised by a single mother. So I didn't really see a relationship like that in
mm,
my home, but, you know, movies and other people and just that kind of like external idea of relationship. There's a lot of that attachment, a lot of, okay, I'm here with you and I'm gonna do what you want to do. And what I want to do with my life is what do you want to do?
mhm, mhm,
especially as a woman. And as I've been celibate for since 2019 and haven't really been in relationship because I really wanted to unpack and heal myself. Now that I have been working on opening my heart and opening myself up to the idea of being in a relationship again and actually being in one, this is something I want to keep in my mind and in my heart, just that I'm living in my own life experience. And even if I'm with someone until my last day, I'm
mhm,
still going to be the one in myself on my last day, releasing my physical form, reflecting on my life and saying, I lived a good life, or I just let all these external things stop me, and now I'm here, and I feel like my life is incomplete. And honestly, I don't want that feeling. I don't, and I'm not going to allow my previous idea of being in relationship keep me from that. So that was just, yeah, that was just something that came up for me from your sharing, Mel. But again, that could be a whole nother podcast. And I
mhm,
want to make sure that we have time to give some tips today, because this is pretty deep conversation. You know,
mhm,
like as much as people may watch things like what's that movie Final Destination or all the horror movies and stuff and like death is like around and Halloween and you know all the things and people might like see accidents or watch fights online or there's all this war and stuff going on. We don't often reflect on our own mortality. We don't often reflect on, like Lisa Nichols says, that dash in between our birthday and our transition date. And so this episode really is an opportunity for all of us
mhm,
to take in that question and really see what comes up and hold space for ourselves without judgment and know that whatever your heart, your soul wants to do before you transition out of this body, it is possible and it is for you. If it is coming up for you, it is for you. And there's nothing stopping you but you, as we've
mhm,
been talking about. So just to kind of slide into the tips, we're gonna go back and forth today, but one that I really want to um, make sure we get in that came up for me was um, take a day to yourself and really sit with the idea of what you want your life to be with. And I'm not saying you have to spend the whole day thinking about it, But I would invite you to disconnect for a day. Maybe it's a Sunday or a Saturday, or maybe you're off on Wednesdays or something. I don't know. That's why you're sitting here watching this podcast, because you got the time on a Wednesday. But just take the day and just let people know, my phone's going to be on Do Not Disturb unless it's an emergency. If you have any clients, don't schedule anybody for that day, and really just sit with yourself and be in the world as an independent being and see what comes up for you. So that's going to be one of my tips.
I love that. And I want to just support that also with saying, because I know someone will hear that and their rebuttal would be, well, if I got kids or I got work and I got this, and all the mind would tell you all the reasons why, even hearing that word day, it will feel like too much. So maybe just 2 minutes. Start with 60
Mm-hmm.
seconds and then go and work your way. And the intent of what Sister Angelique invites you to do is for you to really have that moment to get out of your mind, get out of the worries of what isn't or what needs to, and you're just able to be in that just stillness. So, because I know people when they hear day, they're like, "Oh my, see, I can't do that tip," but it's like, no, that tip is a powerful tip. So I just want to support it with saying, "F a day," or just that time of do not disturb. If you just do it for 60 seconds, you
Mm,
have this sense of power and peace that you will gain of I am living for me. That's what you shared earlier when we first had our conversation before we hopped on. It's like you honored. I didn't feel like a commitment that I would normally do.
mm,
So like that was like a small thing, but it was so big. So a small 60 seconds, a small 2 minutes will be big because it's you picking you. So
mm.
I just wanted to support that because I know that there may be some people, nope.
Felt,
60
yeah.
seconds, 2 minutes, three, four, five, work your way up. And
Mm,
what I want to leave as a tip that's coming through for me, have the awareness that you have it's a possibility that, well, no, 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 no. Let me rewind. So the tip that's coming up for me is not even that. So what's coming through for me strong is know that you don't, it's not about trying to be extravagant. Meaning, like at times we think, okay, well, that thing that I want to do is has to be on the stage or be in front of a crowd or have a big impact of millions. But really think, what is it that brings you joy? Sit with, like, as Sister Angelique is saying, sit and now think, what brings you joy? Like, what brings you joy that you haven't been doing or that you've been wanting to do? And take action.
mm,
So in that 60 seconds, 2 minutes, three, four, five, sit with what is it? Really think about what you want your life to be, and then ask the question, what brings me joy? And
mm.
in that moment, take action because it doesn't have to be something extravagant. It can be a little thing that builds to something bigger than what you can even see.
Yes. And just to kind of add on that, action can even be going online and just researching something real quick, just getting it in your search history. You feel me? You don't even need to spend like 2 hours, diving into anything or investigating. Just Google it, look it up, see how much it costs, see what the distance is, see what the steps are. That's a step in the right direction because now you have that pinprick of awareness that has opened up, the pinprick of possibility. Um, yes. And I would say for the third tip for today, um, just like on that conversation of what is it that you want to feel when you are transitioning. It doesn't have to all be in the same 60 seconds or a day or whatever. But just allow that thought to run through your mind this week. Like what do I want to feel when I'm on my transition bed? What do I want to feel like if I transition suddenly? Like just allow yourself to normalize a very normal thing, which is human, all of natural biological life transitions back into earth energy at some point. So just,
Mm.
yeah, just allow yourself to sit with that just throughout the week. That is my third invitation. So just to concisely wrap it up, because I know we have little master classes in here, so we're giving these
Tips
tips.
turn into whole, write it down. We got an invisible
Whole
board that we
workshops and
breaking
books.
down.
So just to be concise, so you can write this down and be clear. The first tip was to take time for yourself, to be with yourself and reflect on um, who you are, and whether that's a whole day or if it's just 60 seconds. Allow yourself to create that space for you. And the second tip that was kind of added on to that is to reflect on what brings you joy. And then take an action step. And that action step can be researching something, like action step can be texting somebody. That action step could just be writing down what came up for you. Write the vision, make it plain, keep it in front of you. So it's a reminder, right? And then the third tip for today is just to allow the idea of what you want to feel during your transition to pass through your mind this week. You don't have to sit and reflect and be deep about it. But if that comes up, by all means, take another 60 seconds for yourself. Take another day for yourself. But just let that normal conversation of our mortality pass through. Because just know that we are all energy and energy is eternal. So, what is true about your essence is eternal and is beyond this body. However, we won't always be in these bodies. So, just let that flow through. And those are our tips for this week. This conversation has been phenomenal.
Yes, and I know
I
a
love
lot
this.
has come
Yes.
up and may have come up, and I just invite you to sit with it, re-listen to it, allow yourself just to really sit with that, like it's me, but not judging yourself, but having the awareness that you hold the power because it's always been and will always be within you. So use it wisely, use it intentionally, use it
Yeah.
and not let it use you or be used against you by someone else who holds more,
Mm.
not more power, but has the power to know that they could manipulate some things in your life.
And maybe use a little bit to reach out and let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And we can be
Yeah.
in dialogue and conversation with you. So whether that's Instagram, YouTube, websites, Spotify, Apple Music, however you're getting this, we would love to hear from you. So definitely reach out and tell us what is coming up for you and how these practices, these tips are supporting you. Anything else, Brother Raymel?
Check us out Saturdays for
Yes.
live healing conversations. Instagram, you can check it out on my page, Raymel Bentley, at Raymel Bentley, at VZ Spaces.
Mhm.
It's our other space that you really get to feel us in person, see us in person, join us in person, virtually, obviously, but you can engage, you can come to the virtual stage, and it's really our space that we started from, and the vibe is it's there. So come check us out.
Exactly.
Instagram, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's a vibe. It's where you need to be.
Yes. And yeah, just with that, we appreciate y'all. And we will see you,
See
hear
y'all
you,
next
talk to you
week.
next
Tune in
week.
next week. All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.